Well, of course, this morning we are talking about a very, very important fact and a topic that I think a lot of women and men can identify with. We're talking about gender equality, and we know that women have certainly made a lot of strides when it comes to that, but there's still so much work to be done when it comes to the professional environment. We're also talking about the fact that it doesn't necessarily reflect very well when it comes to the pay between women and men. Now, we've got Professor Anita Bosch that's in studio with us this morning, Associate Professor in Human Capital Management at the University of Stellenbosch Business School. And of course, she's joining us this morning to talk about recent findings on the gender pay gap in South Africa, as well as to discuss possible solutions to addressing the problem. So good to have you in studio, Professor Bosch. Can I call you Anita?
Yes, please.
All right, so first of all, I want to talk about your findings. What is the current status when it comes to gender equality, gender fairness when it comes to payment? And why is it that women can't necessarily vigorously pursue the careers that men pursue, because payment will not be the same?
Well, I think, pay is sort of a manifestation, an outcome, a symptom of a larger issue. So in society, feminine ways, care, for instance, the way in which women react, act and so forth is economically devalued. So that already starts out right from the very start. For instance, the notion of care in itself is never paid for. Wow. And we don't have economic value that we really attach to it, other than feminist economists that actually start working on this. Yeah. So from that comes the idea that if you're a woman, you can only do care work. Sure. And you're mostly also so-called, suitable for it by nature. But I know a lot of men that are particularly good at care, and that would want to really actually engage with that. So our society is structured in a particular way that devalues certain things and overvalues other aspects, of which the masculine in general, being quite assertive, making quick decisions, being forthright, all of those types of characteristics seen as true leaders. Yeah. Whereas what we know, what the Earth needs and the planet needs, is something a little bit more subtle, more integrated, more networked. And yet, when we see that, and we see it manifested in women, it still is not acknowledged. But in a man, that would be acknowledged to the extent that the pay for that individual, as a leader, for instance, might be inflated. Yeah. So there's a lot of structural issues in the way in which our society is put together, and that spills over into the workplace. And we live this every day. Weston Zimmerman talks about doing gender. We do gender every day. So we play into it, but also we play to our advantage on that, of which women also have certain advantages, clearly.
Absolutely. Yeah. You were talking about structure, like where does one even begin to, bring about change? Because I feel like a lot of times we're put into boxes to say that you do this better than you do this, that women are only suited to do a particular type of thing, when I believe that you can do anything, really, if you put your mind to it, or if you have a passion and a desire to do it.
No,
where do we begin?
Well, it starts with a lot of negotiation, but also a lot of self-knowledge. And I see on this set this morning, behind the scenes, the fabulous types of jobs and who does what, and even reflecting on who does what here.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm seeing a lot of technicians that are men and camera people that are men, and it's fabulous because they do a wonderful job. But I'm asking myself, where are the women that should be doing this? And can they also not be seen as people that can do this type of job? Very often, also in terms of recruitment, what happens is we set up the recruitment advertisement to be branded, to attract a particular type of person, which is very often a man. When we do blind interviews, for instance, if we had to ask the camera people to actually send in clips, and we desensitize from gender, very often we get more women that are employed in that way. So we have to start desensitizing information that's identifiable towards women. That's one of the ways in which recruitment can actually work. Yeah. Women are also allowed to ask questions about their salaries. Yeah. I think we think in the workplace we're not allowed to do that, but you can actually. So you can approach your HR officer, whoever, or financial officer that looks after the pay, salary scales and so forth, and actually ask for you to be pegged against the aggregate and get information in that way.
I love that we're talking about this right now, especially in Women's Month, that these gaps in pay needs to definitely be challenged, and we need to do it as both men men and women. So thank you so much, Professor Bosch, for being here. The problem has been identified. It is up to everyone, women and men, to find ways to ensure that no one is disadvantaged because of their gender. So if you'd like to read more of the research done, you can visit usb.ac.za to find the report titled under Fairness in Relation to Women at Work.